Hey, what's going on, my friends? Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Victor, and today I'm going to share with you 5 signs that you are more awake than you think, or as the new kids, or the cool kids call it, more woke, more doing better than you think. The spiritual awakening, ascension, all that promises is more and more and more awareness. And having more awareness, that can play out in such a wide range of different types of experiences that are representative of your growing awareness. And some of them are what you would expect. You might feel more compassionate, more loving, and more intuitive. You might start to perceive things that you once were unable to perceive, like lights and auras and all that kind of cool stuff, the spiritual stuff. But it also can manifest in many other ways. And that's what I'm going to kind of focus on today, because some of those other ways tend to make people think that they're either regressing or that they're not really going anywhere, and it was a big mistake to pursue the spiritual path. So it's my hope to kind of give you guys a different way of looking at some of these other experiences, as they very well might indicate that you are doing a phenomenal job contrary to what you might assume. Number 1 is that you're allowing for rapid transformation, which can come in the form of intense, deep, core emotional purging, very fast-moving life changes that stress you out big time, and the feeling like you're just never going to get together, like you feel like you just can't keep up the pace with your life. And it can be very overwhelming and also very confusing as well. I was speaking to a client just yesterday, and maybe a month ago, she was doing really well. She adopted this new healthier eating style. She was pursuing different goals that once frightened her, but now she kind of came to terms and was on board with it, and it was exciting to her, and she was in the flow, getting all the cool omens and signs and synchronicity from the universe. And now it's her life has done a flip-flop. She's strapped for cash. She's having these really painful childhood emotions come up and play out in her life, and she feels like she's just losing it, kind of. And I said, good for you. I said, you work fast. And she does. And a lot of you guys choose to go through this awakening very quickly, which for some, it can play out this way. It can make you feel like your life is just completely like a big mess. And even though you might have been on the spiritual path for quite some time, you find yourself in such a state of unrest that you're not feeling zen-like, you're not feeling very compassionate, your ego is so triggered that you're lost in the racy mind, and your life is reflecting all of that unbalanced state of being. But through those challenges come an accelerated degree of growth, only available to those who can handle that kind of speed and intensity, which means you have a lot of spiritual power. Number 2 is that you're not all that obsessed with spirituality or the New Age movement or ascension or any of that kind of stuff anymore. I just read a comment a couple days ago, and someone said, is anybody not really caring about any of this anymore? And the tone of the comment was saying something like, what's wrong? Is that okay to feel that way? And I would say that, at least for me and what I've noticed with a lot of people, is that in the beginning of the journey, there's just an incredible amount of enthusiasm and passion and excitement for the idea of a planetary transformation and a shift of consciousness and an ascension into a higher plane and a higher vibrational plane of existence, more love, more unity, and with that comes an awareness of all the different ways that's manifesting on the planet. And it's just such a big thing to kind of come into. And for a while, it really can be kind of consuming. I know in the past I would spend hours every day watching YouTube videos, looking at all the latest updates, and I don't know how many hundreds of books, maybe 100 books, all about this sort of thing I've whipped through, and I still have them somewhere. But anyway, it was a lot of a big time delving into this whole spirituality thing. But then the enthusiasm kind of wore off. I became kind of used to the idea of it, and I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. It's just, it's it's a lot to process, and it can take some time to process all that new information and excitement. But after a while, you do a good job of integrating it, and it's no longer necessary to spend so much time involved in studying it. It becomes more about like, how can I go and like live this? How can I be a living example? And that might start to take you into new directions that are of more of like of an earthly matter. How can I start this new blog and help people? And I got to learn how to make good titles and rank blog posts and find out how to do that. And I have this other job that's kind of weighing me down. I got to quit that too. And your priorities sort of shift. But that doesn't mean you're becoming less spiritual. It just means you're starting to kind of step on the path where you're going to actually become more of an embodiment of all your research and all your closet transformation. And that's fine. Number 3 is you find yourself, even if you're still going through challenges, like big ones, you find that you're more accepting and less like wigged out about it. Your stress is less. You have more faith and confidence in your spiritual path. I noticed this a couple years ago. As many of you guys have been watching me for a while, I moved out to San Diego and I sold my home. There were so many big decisions I made on what people would probably assume was blind faith. I didn't consider it that way. I felt it was like a legitimate source of guidance, and it proved to be so. But anyways, I sold my house, I closed my businesses, I packed up my massive family. I have 3 children and 2 pets, my wife, into a very small little car, one vehicle, and a little like 21-foot travel trailer. And we headed all the way across the country in the winter, battling the ice, and it was this treacherous sort of journey in the mountains, in the snow, and it was this crazy like rite of passage it felt like. And it was more like I didn't know exactly what I was going to do when I got out there. I had no idea really, but I knew that was the next step. And for people to do, in the past, what I've done similar things. I've taken big leaps of faith in the beginning of my journey. I would say of similar magnitude, but they drove my mind absolutely bananas, as you could expect. That's a lot to do, a lot to be asked of from your inner being. Quit your job now. I know you need money, but it's fine. Just quit your job. Move out of the house. Move out of the house? Yeah. Move out of the house. You got to go across the country. What? Across the country? Oh my goodness. Okay. I did it all, and I'm not going to pretend I was just completely stress-free. But the amount of like mental anguish and anxiety was so significantly reduced compared to how it used to be, because I was growing on my spiritual path. My inner guidance had proven to be a worthy source of direction, and I've come to really trust it, even in big situations like this. Also, when big problems would spill into my life, I would find myself not reacting. Well, usually I would react pretty intensely just for a few moments, but then I would find myself very quickly coming to a place of acceptance. And I bet a lot of you guys can relate. A lot of you might be looking at your life and saying, well, I'm still struggling. I'm still struggling with money. I still have some of these really challenging relationships, and I still hate my job, and I gotta go, and there's all these things I wanna do, but I just feel so overwhelmed with life. But if you feel like you are trusting and accepting more, that's a testament to your spiritual growth that you've already made. This one other teacher, Bashar, he always says that. He says, if you look at your reflection in the mirror and if you're not smiling when you look at your reflection, you don't expect the mirror to change. What has to happen first is you smile, and then the reflection changes. And what a lot of you guys are experiencing is the fact that you're smiling now. You've changed now. But we're living on Earth, but there's a bit of a time lag. It's not instant. So you might not have seen the reflection of all the work you've done, but you know it's there because of your demeanor, your attitude, your serenity, even in stressful situations. Number 4 is you're not as angry with the world. You're not as resistant to the incredible amount of negativity you're seeing demonstrated all across the globe in so many different ways, through people, through corrupt organizations and controlling systems. When there's that dawning of awareness of all those things, the beginning of the awakening in a sense, when you just wake up, it's like, holy shit, this is all messed up. Something's got to be done. And there's a lot of anger, a lot of frustration, a lot of fear, and just a lot of resistance. This should not be. But after a while, most of you come to realize the weight of resentment, the futility of resisting, the futility of being angry and indignant about such things. You realize that doesn't help matters. It just makes you feel intense, uncomfortable emotions in your being, which distort your ability to express yourself and your divine, and the divine will can't really express itself through the anger. And eventually you just let go because it's like a commonsensical conclusion you come to. And that's certainly a sign that you're starting to view duality, which is very evident on the planet, very dualistic the way things are. You're starting to view it from a higher vantage point. And from that higher, more awakened vantage point, there is acceptance. And with acceptance, there is peace. And when there's peace in your body, then there's the room for your soul to wake up and sort of express itself. That will actually be effective for all those things that you were initially pissed off about. Lastly, is you're starting to figure out your own cues from spirit, or your own synchronicity, your own forms of guidance. Everyone, it's always different. I try to do my best to talk about many of the different examples of divine guidance that you're all getting through synchronicity. And a lot of people, it's with numbers, especially 1111 and other rare occurrences like 1, 2, 3, 4. Some people, it's like an animal they always see. Some people, it's in their dreams. Some people think there's something wrong because they're not getting any of that. But really, they just always know stuff. It's a knowing, that claircognizance. They just know which decision to make without the need of the example. Anyways, it's always different. Everyone's got their own little ways of again, heeding or understanding the signs that your higher self is constantly trying to give you to help you stay on your ideal path. And for a while, we would see the symbols and look it up. What does this mean? What's this say? Oh, I don't know. But eventually you just start to kind of learn. You just start to kind of understand your own synchronicity. And that's a wonderful and relaxing thing. Perhaps that's one of the reasons why you become more at an even keel and cool with big transition, because you finally understand that when you really do need assistance or guidance from your higher self, or your angels, your spirit guides, however you want to look at it. I don't really claim to know which it is, but there is something that's looking after you, helping you on your path, and now you're starting to figure out how it's going about communicating with you, which is going to open so many doors and open up such a greater amount of potential for you to live a really phenomenal life when you can really understand what your inner being is trying to say to you. And then when you start to follow that up with action, even if it doesn't always make sense, you'll be amazed at what it turns out. Anyways, I just wanted to share some of those signs because it's so interesting. I have a very similar conversation with so many people, and I've had it many, many times. And that's, Victor, I have these problems. There's this in my life, and all this stuff is going on, and I've been on this path a long time. What give? This is not fair. I deserve to be further along. And it's always like, you are where you want to be already. You just have a misunderstanding of how to label. Maybe you expected it to look a little bit differently. So anyways, the purpose of this video is to hopefully make you feel better, essentially. So I wish you well with that. I hope you all feel good. Hope you're all proud of your efforts. If you're still alive and you're still breathing, you're still kicking, that means you're a friggin' badass, a spiritual warrior of light, and you deserve just an amazing applause, just an amazing pat on the back. It's such a blessing being able to talk to you guys. I know a lot of you guys feel alone. I have the fortune of being able to talk to a lot of you, so many different personalities and characters, all representing this higher consciousness. It's amazing. You guys are all so awesome. We are all we are all in this together. We really are all doing our part, even if you don't feel like you are. You struggling and doing your best to overcome your own demons, that's you doing your part. That's connected to your purpose. That's connected to the ascension. That's connected to the mass awakening. That's connected to everything you want in life. So don't forget that. Peace out, my friends. I'm going to bounce. Namaste.